art gallery KALAMUNDA Modern on the opening night of a very exciting exhibition. Paintings from German artist Angelika Steiger and glassworks from Australian artist Matthew Curtis are on show.
This is a new gallery in KALAMUNDA Modern. Most unusual. Unfortunately today, there's a lot of closures of art galleries in Western Australia, particularly commercial galleries that are selling work. And yet KALAMUNDA managed to open not just a new commercial gallery, which in itself is remarkable, but one with a mission to bring the best of international and Australian and local artwork to the community. So it's got such a strong ethos in exhibiting work that's been very carefully created as exhibitions, not just selling work on a wall.
I was approached by a gentleman called Roman Antoniuk, who was the designer and builder of this whole building, and he had noticed that so many galleries were closing in Western Australia, particularly in the Perth area, and he knew what I was doing in Europe, in Germany particularly, where I had a gallery just outside Munich. And he asked if I was interested in coming and having a look to see whether this space that we have here at the moment, whether it would be worth opening a gallery in Perth, that is in KALAMUNDA. And I came over and I was very impressed with the galleries, very sad that the galleries were closing, and I said, yes, it's worth a try. And we'll have a concept which brings new impetus to the area and have a very different concept to other galleries. The gallery opened in May. It was opened by John Day, the Minister for Art and Culture. The gallery will reopen in the middle of February, where we begin with a German and Australian artist, again glass and paperwork. It goes on to have a Japanese exhibition, and other international artists have been invited. We have a major art exhibition as this one, and in between we have smaller presentations without a very large formal opening, where we merely invite guests to come, a very, very more relaxed atmosphere.
Look, I think one of the things with arts all the time is actually trying to interpret your place in the world versus other places. So with an artist like Angelika's work here tonight, she's spent years looking at landscape, which is very popular in Australia, landscape work, and her work's been informed by a recent time in the Greek islands. By having an Australian glass artist who's looking at Australian form and medium and colour and light at an Australian perspective, putting them together, people who come in here, they might be wanting to buy an artwork, or they might just look at the two pieces of work, one by a northern European artist and an Australian, and look at the things that are common, the things that are different, and how they speak to each other. And that certainly gives you the idea that we really are all one highly creative, population on this planet, and the things that bring us together are much more than the things that divide us.
So why have you put the two artists together tonight? They're such different mediums.
But not so. They actually both play with colour. It's a game of tag. One bounces off Angelika Steiger's texture from the paintings and Matthew Curtis's smooth, colourful lines. They are both about nature. Angelika works two-dimensionally with a three-dimensional object, and Matthew works three-dimensionally with a two-dimensional object. They're just wonderful together. It's just a passion for colour from both of them. Angelika and I have known each other for more than 10 years now. We've actually worked together. I've exhibited her in Germany in solo exhibitions, and we sat on the same board of consultants, art consultants in Munich. Matthew, I actually first time saw his work at the Art Gallery Western Australia in Perth, where he was a participant at the Tom Malone Art Prize. Wonderful, wonderful art prize, and we should see more of the glass work that's actually shown at this exhibition.
I think the reason galleries are closing is multiple reasons. It's very hard to make money by selling paintings, and as spaces for arts have become, in competition with people building apartments and retail stores and pop-up cafes and everything, you've found galleries have just become uneconomic for owners. They've always been really something of a passion job, not one that you ever do because your business brain says, I think I'll make a fortune as an art gallery owner. That isn't why people do it. So I think a lot of the closures are because of that. But also the art market is changing. People are buying online, buying direct. People have always had an idea they'd like to know the artist, get to know the artist, which is why it's so wonderful that Angelica's here tonight, because you can talk to her about the work, and for all time, if you buy one of her paintings tonight, you carry with you not just the love of the work, but a real understanding of who painted it and why and what her feelings were at the time and so on. So I can understand that, with people online, maybe they think they're getting a bit closer to the artist than just going into a gallery. But galleries like this that are embracing both selling work and hosting artists to come here and talk about their work, I think they'll do very well. So I think this is an inspired new idea, and it's fantastic that Kalamunda's leading the way.
Initially, when Roman brought the plans to me, I said, this looks like it's out of Tibet. So I was a little bit taken back by his concept, but when it sort of as it evolved, it became more apparent that Roman was quite a creative architect, and he sought to fill a space that in the hills architecture that has been lacking for a long time. And I think the use of the materials and the natural colours really works well together. For the Shire of Mundaring, we need to draw together the hills artists. And I was saying to Roman and some of the other people here this evening that we need to unify the artists and be able to exhibit their art in many areas, not to be elitist, but to communicate with each other and communicate with the exhibitors and the artists, and have a database of like exhibition areas and artists and pursue that. So I think it's a great initiative. Yeah. The art tonight is it's stunning. It's contemporary, and I like the use of the materials. But the glasswork is equally stunning, and I think it will be very saleable in Australia. So
please tell us about your favourite artwork of Matthew's.
Very, very difficult, but I think by just a tiny little point, I would actually say that this one, number one, is my favourite. It's got such a beautiful flow to the piece of artwork. It's delicate, it's reduced, it's very Bauhaus. The simplicity and the delicateness of the colour, I love it.
I really love it. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I was telling one of the gentlemen here that I particularly liked the work behind you, and it was like a piece of music on canvas, and it just spoke to me, and it had all sorts of romantic connotations, and mostly because of the blues and the greens. It reminded me of a water course, and it was very appealing. Loved it.
We're Kalamunda residents for about 25 years, and we're absolutely delighted that we've got a contemporary gallery now available in Kalamunda, particularly to show international works. Most of our galleries around the hills are focused on Australian works, so it's really inspiring to be able to see something like Angelica's work here in Kalamunda. It's wonderful.
And do you go to many art openings?
Probably not as many as we would like, but it is wonderful that we've got something so close to home.
I mean, we're quite busy people, but we love doing lots and lots of things. We're creative, so we are looking forward to the further exhibitions that Roma holds, and we don't have to go too far, as Brendan said. So, but yeah, we go into town and obviously occasionally view the exhibitions there. But this is certainly lovely.
So you were saying that art galleries are closing down. Do you find that people are not buying art anymore, and how are you getting around this with your gallery?
We have heard from many people that sales have dropped tremendously in the private person buying art. But I can honestly say that I think we're very, very pleased with the number of people who have come to Kalamunda Modern, supported us, and actually also the artists that we've exhibited.
After this short break. Welcome back to Gallery Watch. We're at the new gallery, Kalamunda Modern, where the works of Angelica Saiger and Matthew Curtis are on show.
Visual arts as one of Western Australia's great strengths. We've always produced extraordinary artists with a wonderful tradition. We have a major Western Australian art gallery collecting our works, but it's important that the community collects as well, and that artists and new artworks become part of what every family hopefully engages in places on the walls. So the loss of commercial galleries is a great concern. So I was rather intrigued by this, even more intrigued when I saw the building, and even more intrigued when I met Roma and had the opportunity to see that not only did we have a new commercial gallery, but underneath it all, we have quite a remarkable curator here who has a quite inspiring vision to introduce an international artist, Australian artists, and I'm sure the best of Western Australian artists, to this space and do something that I think is really incredibly important, which is bring the artists back into the gallery so that people who are interested in coming in and hopefully buying some of this beautiful work will really be connected to an exhibition environment where they can understand the context, how paintings place against each other and so on.
I am a painter. I studied in Munich and Akademie der Bildenden Künste, and since 3 years I live in Greece and I work there. I have there a studio, and all these paintings here I made in Greece. I have, of course, in Munich or next to Munich a studio, and for example this one, the first year when I was there, I made a lot of drawings of trees, of old trees, ancient trees. They're about 1,000 years old olive trees in Paros, and this was after a year I began to do only the trunk. I was interested to play with the colors, with forms I saw. And so I was interested in this, and this was the reason, the motif of this painting, a truck. Yes, it's called Kalokeri 2 because it has to do with summer. It's the same canvas, it's a very good canvas. And I thought it was the last one I had because it's never produced, and I wanted to paint very Kalokeri summer paintings, and it's not here you can see the trunk of a tree, and here it's the impression of a tree, and here I know I forgot perhaps to say I mix a lot of pigments and with resin and oil, and I know that there it's all with pigments, or more pigments than I used in the other paintings.
They actually both play with colour. It's a game of tag. One bounces off Angelika Sieger's texture from the paintings and Matthew Curtis's smooth, colourful lines. They are both about nature. Matthew works three-dimensionally with a two-dimensional object. It's got such a beautiful flow to the piece of artwork. It's delicate, it's reduced, it's very Bauhaus. The simplicity and the delicateness of the colour.
And can you tell me about the other art from the other artists and how it complements your art?
I saw it and I was very surprised, and because I think I can feel something when I see this, and I heard that he worked with a microscope too, and this was my way too. The first when I didn't know that I want to be a painter, I worked with a microscope too, and was very impressed and enthusiastic about the forms I saw, and he does the same, and I think he catches something of the world and transforms and translates, and I do the same. But what we see, I think it suits very good together.
Please tell me about your art career and how you've come to be here today.
I actually studied fine art in Europe, art history, film and photography, and I'm practicing professional artist, and I also ran a professional gallery just outside Munich. There are apartments, there are 8 apartments altogether in this gorgeous building made of rammed earth, and yes, it's a very singular building, most singular in Kalamunda, and it's fabulous to be here as well. The sign of recognition of the gallery is the bobtail, which was made by Mr. Antoniuk as well and his team, because a bobtail does live on the property.
About 15 years ago, we thought we could do something with the building, put apartments here, but we seem to have hit bureaucratic red tape and all sorts of problems, and we finally got apartments through. They were the first apartments in the hills. Everybody said, what do you want to build apartments for? There aren't any. I thought you just answered your own question. And well, we just built the apartments, and the space showed itself. And Roma was curating a gallery in Munich at the time. I'd invited her over. She looked at the place and said, what do you think about putting a gallery here? It's a bit out of the way, Kalamunda, but she thought it was a great space. It's a great day out for people to come up to Kalamunda. Lots of cafes, and off she goes. She's taking it right to the high end. There's lots of potential artists in Kalamunda and in the hills, but this is international art, and we're being isolated because artists don't show much in Perth. They go to the eastern states, or they don't show at all. So here we can have an influence on art, and they can all come and see what's going on in the rest of the world. Most people build single-storey buildings in rammed earth. I thought we could go much better. It's much more adventurous. We've got unusual features that you don't normally see in rammed earth, and everybody loves the building. People say it's like living on holiday living here.
And what do you see for your future?
Oh, I only want to paint, and yes, I'm interested to what's my way, how I've developed to paint in another country, perhaps in Australia. And so because I know that my painting changes when I am in other places. And so I hope I'm healthy and can paint the next 20 years or more.
What do you think of Australia? Will that change your art in the future?
I would like to work here for some months or so, because I'm very surprised and enthusiastic about the vegetation, about the other form of trees and plants and flowers I saw, and the red soil, and so things I like here. These are my last one I did before I made the traveling to Australia, and they are very thin, and you see, I think it's the same theme I like the other one, and this I did it in the same time when I did this, and both are made in acrylic. Normally I paint only with oil, but these I thought I want to have them very thin and light, like aquarelle, and so both are you see, very, very light, and sometimes nature has this, the first only the little few, yes, it's the same theme.
So you were saying that art galleries are closing down. Do you find that people are not buying art anymore, and how are you getting around this with your gallery?
We have heard from many people that sales have dropped tremendously in the private person buying art. But I can honestly say that I think we're very, very pleased with the number of people who have come to Kalamunda Modern, supported us, and actually also the artists that we've exhibited.
Thank you for joining us on Gallery Watch. I'm Elise Van Aken, and we'll see you next time.